welcome back. Thanks so much for being with us today. I have the privilege of having Miss Ashley Basiri here with us, who is multiple coaching, nutrition, eating disorder recovery. I'll have you kind of go through all the things, but also one of my favorites, and just an amazing spin instructor, strength instructor, lead sort of fit wellness programs here at Bespoke, which is where we are today. As you can see, our beautiful mural in the background here in their South Boston workout facility, which for anybody that's here and local, you have to come check this place out. It is amazing. Stocked with bikes and all different classes and amazing instructors. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you for having me.
My quarantine dreams coming true. So of course, Bespoke, on top of this warehouse, has an amazing online digital platform, which I will have to say totally got me through 2020.
So glad to hear that.
Oh my gosh, I feel like
it got us through it too, being able to record.
I mean, and I think that the minute the at-home bike was available, when I feel like, was it the Cape House or Federal was renting out the bikes, I'm like, we're gonna get this home bike. Like Peloton was like, you can have a bike in June. I'm like, no, it's March, it's not gonna work. And I just give you guys so much credit for so swiftly jumping on that on demand, and just really starting to be able to work with other instructors I've never had access to, and saw your beautiful face, mind, soul, body, and I was like, this girl is amazing. Her classes are amazing. So everyone's got to check Ashley out. But I'm so excited to be here today with you now in person, and being able to take your classes in person over the past few months, and sharing your story.
Oh my gosh,
with so much going on, and I know we have a lot in common, so we can kind of talk through that. But I would love for you to talk a little bit about Ashley B. What are you loving right now? What are some of your favorite things? Intro yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for setting me. I feel so special. This is also, I just feel like for us, we've connected so much this past year virtually, and then finally in person, and it's just really cool to be able to do this with you. I'm just so proud of you and so inspired by you. So the feelings are so mutual, and I just feel like this is was always supposed to happen. Yes. So thank you for having me. But yes, I am a fitness instructor. I also am the director of instructor operations here at Bespoke Studios, and I'm a health coach, an eating disorder recovery coach. I'm like, what else do I do?
Yes.
I'm the head of our Level Up program, which is a 6-week wellness activation program here at the studios, and I also run our accountability coaching program and the team. So I like to be busy, if you haven't noticed that. I like to do a lot of different things. I love every aspect of my job, and I'm sure we'll talk about the reasons why and how I ended up in this space, because it is very personal and very special to me. But what I'm loving right now, I am loving, oh my God, well, and everyone else, if you know me, you're joking, this is a little joke, but I'm loving those birthday cake Annies,
I know.
Bunny Grams. Those are a fun favorite food of mine, a fun snack.
Yes, which are now sold out all over, Whole Foods everywhere. So Bunny Grams, if you're watching, hashtag sponsor me.
Birthday cake, if you like funfetti. Go for them. They're so good. They're my favorite snack. Yeah. I'm also loving, I'm wearing these beautiful bracelets from CJJ Beads. I love a fun jewelry for the summertime. I always have something fun. So this is actually one of our front desk staff. Her name's Courtney Jonas. She makes these and she sells them. This is her quarantine project. So definitely check her out. I'll definitely make sure I post about it. But I'm loving my fun jewelry. And honestly, I know this is so cliche, but I'm just loving being in the studios, in the spaces. I know that everything is still very much not normal, and I don't know that we'll ever get back to totally normal, and I think that's okay. This is our new normal, or our now normal, as I like to call it. But just being able to do what I love and being around all of you and to share that collective energy and to feel like we're starting to get towards a better place, whatever that place is. You can feel it when you're in class, and you can feel it when you're outside in the city, just in the nice weather. So I'm just loving our community right now.
I know, it is nice, and thank God it's finally spring-ish. You know, I feel like here in New England still we're going from like 80s to 32 degrees and snow and whatever. We'll get through it. But like summer is on its way, everybody. And with that too, Ashley, not only being here in Boston, but you have an incredible presence on the Cape, which also for any Massachusetts locals and everyone beyond, I mean, Cape Cod is definitely the hot spot in the summer for travel, and I know you have some big things up your sleeve, so everyone stay tuned on Bespoke to see what they got going on this summer in the Cape, because it's really going to be awesome. So you make appearances all over, which we love, and I know through your various career pivots, leading up to, you know, doing what you do now with Bespoke, tell us a little bit about that journey of like really kind of coming into showing up here, like being a kick-ass instructor, you know, showing up for this community and bringing that energy and your love for fitness. So talk to me a little bit about like how did you fall in love in fitness and what was that journey like to get to Bespoke?
Oh my gosh, that's the question of the day. How much time do we have? I think fitness has always been an important part of my life. I grew up active. I was a dancer. I was involved in, you know, soccer and cheerleading and like all these different sports all the time. When I was a kid, you know, we lived on this like great street in this great neighborhood where the kids just were outside all day playing. Like you just went outside and you played and that was it. And
I don't remember those days.
Yeah. Like no computer.
Like no Fortnite. Nothing against that, people, but you're like old fashioned, let's play outside.
Just playing outside. So, and I was always involved in sports. I have been a runner my entire life. So I started running competitively in 6th grade. So I was running in races, road races, and it was really fun. And I was on the cross country team and the track team. And I actually had the same cross country coach from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade, which is kind of crazy. Mr. Esty, he's amazing. He had such a big impact on my life. But just being an athlete was just always a part of my identity and movement. And, you know, at the time, it was just doing it because I loved it. And then as you start to get a little bit older, it can kind of turn into something a little bit more challenging. So when I went to college, I was not an athlete in college, and I knew that I wanted to go to college and enjoy the full experience. And I was, as I was getting older, getting like a little bit more stressed about the competitiveness associated with sports, and I still loved it, but it was becoming like, it wasn't like for fun anymore. It was becoming like a little
winning
too, it was just becoming too much. I was getting a little bit too critical of myself, especially in like the running space, and you know, worrying about, you know, if you're going faster, do you have to be smaller? And when you're a cheerleader, like if you're getting thrown in the air, like how much do you have to weigh for that? And like those sort of things were kind of in my brain. And as a dancer too, I think there was a narrative that maybe had been just a part of my belief system my entire life, and it maybe didn't start to come through as anything negative until I got older and you go through puberty when you're you know, when you're a girl, and you all of a sudden your body's changing, the shape is changing. So I noticed that my mindset started changing a little bit. Then I went to college and I knew I don't want to run competitively. I want to like chill out and enjoy the college experience. And I was always like a very high stress person. I had to be involved in everything when I was in high school, and I like kind of felt like I wanted to take in the college moment. So I did not join a sports team, but I did get very involved in working out. So I started going to the gym really for the first time, and lifting and like using all the different equipment and the weights, and it became a very unhealthy situation really quickly. There was definitely, it wasn't just the working out that started to cause me to have you know, negative thoughts about my body and like wanting to control it. It was definitely compounded by the fact that I had this really great like system and friends, and I had a great like, my life when I was in high school was a certain way, and I was in this like smaller town and wasn't really exposed to too many different things, and then all of a sudden I ended up at UMass Amherst. So it was like the like opposite,
complete
like
shift, like
talk about culture
people
shock,
everywhere,
like partying. Like I was a good girl.
You're like,
I was just like, oh my gosh, like everything was so different. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. I definitely had fun. Met some great friends my first year when I was there, and then I just like, it was just a lot, and I started to utilize exercise in a really negative way, and felt really lost when I was there. And I think at first maybe the exercise was like a good thing, but then a good thing is only a good thing until you do too much of it. It takes it a little bit too far. So I don't know if I'm going too deep into other questions or if you want me to continue, so that's really when I developed an eating disorder. It started when I was in school, and it was like a really hard space, a really hard time, and that was when movement was not a healthy thing for me. Fitness was not okay for me at that time, and I lost a lot of myself. I lost that spark inside me that was so excited to like be involved in things and make friends and go and do and love my body for what it could do, and that strength that I had associated with it for so long totally disappeared. Became really isolated. Just truly, like I cannot recognize that person that I was back then. And I was a freshman and
still so young.
So young.
Yeah.
And then when I got out of school my freshman year, I came home and nobody recognized me. Like my family didn't recognize me. I remember my boyfriend at the time coming to visit me at school and literally walking right by me and not recognizing me, and it became like a very scary situation very quickly when people realized how unhealthy I had become and how the fact that I had an issue. And there was intervention. I got involved with a doctor that specialized in eating disorders. Thank goodness, she was amazing. Didn't love her at the time because she was obviously really strict,
Right.
but I look back now and I credit her with saving my life. And after that, it was just a couple years in and out of hospitals, treatment facilities, residential, outpatient, inpatient, day program, night program, ER, residential, like the whole thing. It was a revolving door of treatment programs, and really didn't think that there was ever going to be a way out. Didn't think there was ever going to be a way out. I didn't really understand what was happening to me. I didn't think I had an eating disorder for a really long time, and then when I finally realized I did and understood it, it's a mental illness, and you're trapped. You feel trapped, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication and a lot of supportive people around you and the right treatment team in place and patience and kindness to yourself and a willingness to want to get better,
Right.
and a vision for what your life could be like on the other side, for you to be able to even think about moving through the process of recovering from it. So I don't know if I answered your question about that. I have so much more.
Right. Well, I know. So starting off, fitness, and from where you've gone to coming here, and then that journey of then seeing fitness be something that is a positive thing in your life, and you helping out so many people. When you got through school and you had that moment where you're getting better and on this road to recovery, what was that career shift like for you? Did you have fitness and were you working a full-time job, and how did you kind of switch into sort of all the things that where you're at now full-time?
Sure. Yeah. So after I recovered or was in recovery from my eating disorder, I went back to school, graduated, did all these things, still was struggling a lot, and started to incorporate the exercise back in, but was still struggling with it. I was working full time at a few different companies, and I was still, I knew that I wanted more, and I had finally gotten to a place where I felt like I could trust myself with movement again, and I found that in a spin studio. And that was the first time that in my recovery process, that I was able to get on a piece of exercise equipment. This was before Apple Watches and all those things existed, so I definitely encourage you, if you're in the process of recovery, keep those watches at home.
Tracking the numbers,
all the tracking. And the bike that I was on, it had nothing. You just got on it, and you're in a dark room, and you're moving. And it was the first time that I felt like I had connected to my body and appreciated my body and appreciated the process of movement, and really was zoned in on that. And I was not thinking about how many calories I was burning, how far I was running, what I was doing. I was fully fully invested in the music and the feeling, and I literally had an outer body experience and was I need to do this. And I remember looking up at the person on stage and being I feel like I need to do this. I feel like I have a message to share. I feel like if I can get to this point and I can develop this healthy relationship with movement, and having come from such an unhealthy space and having like put in the work, like there has to be somebody else like me. There has to be somebody else. And I wanted to be a part of the conversation. And I also at the time was looking around at the fitness community, and I didn't see anybody that was like me. Everybody that I saw up there, you know, had six-pack abs and like the perfect everything, and like truly was like what you would imagine as like a stereotypical like fitness instructor. And I was like, in some ways I really don't fit the mold, and I will say that held me back for a while. And it held me back from thinking that I could take that plunge. So I started doing like dabbling part-time. I was at my job full-time, but then I got my certifications, I auditioned, and I started teaching at a couple different gyms before work and after work. And those times where I was teaching were the best parts of my day. 5 a.m. and then 7 o'clock at night.
You're like, get me up early.
I was just
bring it home.
waiting for the morning, and I was waiting for the night, and like the in between was just like something I was trying to get through to be able to do what I really loved. So I knew that was something that I wanted to get to at some point, but it did take me a little bit of time to gain the confidence to get there. And I think there was a lot of like internal work that I had to do to know that I was like worthy enough and talented enough and belonged in the space. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, thinking that maybe they don't fit the mold or don't belong. And I have so much faith in the industry now, and I'm especially happy to be working for Bespoke because that is a mission of ours to make this space more inclusive for all, body size, race, gender, like everything. So I'm really proud to be here for that. But it did take a kind of like big life event for me to finally like pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I think, for all that Bespoke offers, what I love most about you, and no disrespect to Peloton or anything, but you can get so caught up in the numbers. But even, and you and I share struggles. I've also been through some eating disorders, multiple, in my life, and very unhealthy relationship with exercise and all the things, and at a very young age too. And so having a space where you can be on a bike, there's no cadence, there's no numbers, you're not competing against yourself from like the class before where you beat yourself up like, I gotta hit X, Y, and Z, where you can come and you can just have fun and breathe and dance. And if you're not wanting to, like you say in class, get up and do the sprint, stay in the bike, like nobody cares, so, and I think that's so important. And I love to see how, for some, the fitness industry really has evolved, growing up too and loving it at such a young age, doing all the kickboxing, the step aerobics. Oh my God, Billy Blanks. It's been this evolution where I think it got a little crazy for a few years, and certainly belonging to many gyms in Boston and kind of going through the scenes, like you can feel how incredible the community is, and also to the authenticity, I think, of all of your instructors, where you're approachable, you're kind, you're friendly, you're on a podium, but you're not, you're not on a stage or this like persona of like, you're real people and you're sharing real stories, and the vulnerability is so amazing. And I know we all live with a lot of imposter syndrome as we go through life of like, can I do this? Who am I? Who wants to take my class? Who wants to listen to my voice? But a lot of people do. And I'm sure you've saved a lot of people's lives. I mean, you got me through last year, I will tell you, of just like showing up every day and bringing your energy. And, what do you, and I know you kind of talked about this, but what do you love most about Bespoke? Like what really kind of drove you to join Bespoke and, kind of keeping you here beyond all the amazing things I just mentioned? But like, what was that like final moment of like, I'm doing this full time, and why here?
Oh my gosh, that's another great question. I will definitely say it for so many different reasons, but when I originally came here, and another big reason, another thing that really pushed me into fitness, and I hope that it doesn't take, if you're like thinking about getting into fitness and something you're passionate about, do it. Just take the jump, do it, and find a way to get involved in it. If you're not ready to leave your job yet, or if you just want to be part of your life within your job, like just go for it. If you have that passion, it's meant to be yours. So I would definitely say that. But and I wish I had the confidence to jump into it a little bit sooner. But it wasn't until my mom was diagnosed with cancer that it just put everything to a stop. And it was an incurable rare cancer, and it shifted my whole life. And I, in that moment, just said, what am I waiting for? Why am I waiting? This is what I'm meant to do. Why am I waiting? I need to, life is so short. I wanted to be happy, and I knew that I had something something that I needed to share, and something that I wanted to share in a way that I wanted people to feel. And when I would ride at Bespoke, and I actually had my first introduction to Bespoke at the Cape, and I used to, before we had the Cape House in Mashpee, there was a little pop-up in Falmouth, and
oh yeah, was that the one across the street?
This is actually before that. So there's a pop-up that used to be across the street from where we're currently at, like across the way.
Yeah,
and then this
the
is
first one?
In Falmouth by, oh my gosh, I can't even remember. It was next to like a convenience store.
Oh my God, it's just like curtains. And I remember moving to Mashpee Commons. Curtains. Well, and then everyone hated everybody because it's just like loud and music. They're like, who are people in these spots?
Like, too loud.
We're like, we're just doing our thing.
We're just trying to enjoy life. Oh my gosh, so many stories.
That's awesome.
So I had my first introduction to Bespoke at the Cape, and I'll never forget when I went and I checked in at the little like front desk. The owner, Mark, was handing out shoes, and I knew he was the owner because I knew about Bespoke, and I had, when they first opened, I had done, had seen the articles and everything about them, and I thought that was really cool, and it to see somebody who's like the CEO, right? And both of the co-owners were actually there, and they were just chatting with me. Oh, you're due, and like handing me my shoes, and I was like, if the owner of the company is willing to get behind a little pop-up table and hand you shoes, like that says something about the culture, right? And so that was like one thing that was great. And then I took Katie B's class. She was the first person I took, and her class was amazing. And the fact that it was connected to the Cape, where I had such a strong connection, a family house down there. I rode in Wellesley. I took Allie's class in Wellesley, and I was like, this is the place. This is where I want to audition, where I want to work. So I got an audition, I got into the training program, and I also auditioned to teach our strength classes as well. But the thing that keeps me here, and the thing that I'm most proud of, is, first of all, our community is, I know it sounds cliche, but our people are the most incredible humans, and I genuinely, I feel like they're family. And that's even just like us having this connection is so special. And I'm gonna get emotional. And our team here is unreal. Like, we lift each other up. We care about each other so much. We've been through so much just in this past year.
Oh my God, this year is crazy.
And we show up for each other. We care about each other. We're grinding with each other. We're in the work with each other. We aren't afraid to call each other out when we're doing something wrong, or when we could be improving on something, whether it's socially or whether it's in a class, right? And we generally want every single person on our team to succeed. And I would say, especially this past year, I just feel so lucky to be working for a business that I know that we just want to lift everybody up.
You want the best for everybody.
Best for everybody. And and I know that, a lot of people probably feel that way about their coworkers, but this is the first time I've felt this way about a team before, and I just feel so lucky. It's my coworkers and our community, people that show up.
No, we really do. So I think for anyone maybe nervous about doing a spin class or starting, talk to us about what we can expect from Ashley's class. As you're preparing, as you're getting ready, what makes you unique, I guess, about your rides? I know. So I mean, besides dying, but then also loving it and getting stronger
while we're smiling,
while we're feeling amazing under the mask.
Yes. So a big reason why I wanted to do this and to get into fitness was because I wanted people to feel like they belonged. And it doesn't matter what you look like, how athletic you are, how long you've been doing this. I want everybody in my room, or in this space that walks into studio doors, to feel like they belong, and that whatever their 100% is perfectly fine, and it's going to be different for every single person in the room. So I always start class by letting people know, I don't want you to compare yourself to the people around you. I don't want you to compare yourself to me. This is your 45 minutes, time carved out just for you to leave here feeling confident, to leave here feeling strong, to leave here feeling proud of yourself. And that's going to look different on every single person.
Right.
It does. I do not care if you hit the choreography. I do not care if you even get out of the saddle. The fact that you were able to show up and do something for yourself that physically is a beautiful thing and a beautiful gift, but mentally, emotionally, like these bikes have literally saved my life and gotten me through the hardest times in my life. And I know that there's got to be somebody else in the room that's in here working through something challenging too. And I also just want to help people fall in love with themselves and fall in love with their bodies and what it can do for you and what it does do for you every day beyond the physical. Like I want to get people out of their head thinking about, you know, what does my stomach look like? What do my arms look like? I don't want us to think about that. Like what does your heart look like? And how do you feel? And I want people to have fun when they do it.
And they do. I mean, I certainly see it. And I think for anyone who is intimidating, I mean, it's still group fitness, even pre-COVID. In Boston, it was crazy, you know, and beyond. I mean, classes packed, like everyone like pushing each other out of the way, like trying to get to their spot, their bike, their thing. And it can be intimidating, right? So what would you say to someone who is maybe intimidated to show up or have a class? Like, you know, what would you say to them, and maybe what are some other options you know, that they have?
Yeah, great question. I always like to say when there are new people in the room, and I try to say this, it's every single person here that's in the space, in the room, in the class with you, it was their first time at one point too.
Right.
The first time I took a spin class, even though I fell in love with it and knew it was something that I wanted, I had no idea what was going on. I couldn't get out of the saddle.
I couldn't clip
sprint.
in. I remember.
Yeah, like
it was like 2 songs in. I'm like, I remember running out of the little 10 thing and Mashpee Compass. I'm like, can somebody help me with my bike? It's like 2 songs in. Mooch was up there. It's like a Saturday on the Cape. These are coveted bikes back in the day because it was so small. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. But you know what? You just do it. You try. You miss a couple songs. You're fine.
Got it. It's fun to try something new, and I know it's scary, but I will tell you, you know, group fitness is cool because there's going to be a mixed bag who's in class, right? Not everybody's the same level.
No.
And that's kind of the beautiful part of it. You can, and a good instructor will always offer modifications, will always help you get yourself situated and set up in class, or, you know, the front desk. And I know Bespoke is so great at that. Our team, our front desk team, and you know, our instructor team is so great at that. But I think group fitness is a great place to start to kind of like get your feet wet if you're interested in trying something different in the fitness world, because you can try there's so many different options out there in classes. And if coming to the studio doesn't feel safe for you yet, or if you're still a little intimidated and you want to try it at home, we have on demand. We have virtual classes. So you can, you know, do it in your basement or your garage or outside. But there are also a lot of really great, you know, other fitness spaces in Boston. So I would encourage people to try whatever fits their heart, you know, and like works for them.
Yeah. How do you stay motivated on the days where you teach? I know you teach a lot of classes. You guys also video and all the things. When you're not feeling your best, you know, how do you stay motivated? Like, how do you get up? And I know the days I'm sore, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. And now giving you so much credit with all the masks and changing masks and doing it and being on the bike and the mics and all of it. What are some of the things that you do to keep yourself going on those days?
It's a great question because
the bunny rabbit graham.
The bunny rabbit, the birthday cake bunny graham.
Secret is
very good. Snacks help. Snacks are great. Snacks always help. Big snackers. If you're in fitness, your snacks on snacks all the time. But honestly, I think something that I always come back to, and this is actually something that we go through in training as well when we bring on new instructors, because it is so important, because you do get tired and it is exhausting, especially if you're having a hard day, is to always come back to your why and to remember why you're doing this and why this is such an important career path and passion for you. And I always come back to that. I always come back to, you know, and I feel so grateful when I do, because I am so grateful that I get to do this. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity and the you know, to quit my job and to like jump into something that I loved, and to be so scared and wonder if it was even going to work, but to care about it so much that I made it work, and just to I come back to like feelings of, I'm proud of myself, and I like remind myself like how hard I worked to get here, and I think about my mom and how like proud she would be of me for like following my dreams, and I think about everybody here, everybody that shows up in class. Again, I was a client for so long, and I still am a client. I take classes a lot. I need to take class because it still does something for me. So I always remember that somebody showing up to class is here for a reason, and I'm so privileged that I get to be a person that gets to have a positive impact on their day. And this is just, I'm doing this for something bigger than just hopping on a spin bike. Like I know that I want to make a difference and help people. So that's what I come back to a lot.
I love it. And also too, with all of your coaching, your health coaching, ED recovery coaching, let's go back to that for a little bit of just, for someone who could be watching this and struggling, and I know you take care of people in so many ways. What are some of the things that or steps someone could take today, if they're having a hard time? I mean, listen, 2020, when you talk about the core of eating disorders, right, it's a control.
Yep.
And 2020 took everything away from all of us. At some point we lost something, and to be in a moment where even you've recovered or whatever, you're like, oh my God, everything's out of control, and we're cooking from home, and you got a bike at home, and all this virtual, I'm gonna work out 4 times a day, and to kind of it's easy to get triggered and fall back into that. So maybe for somebody who is struggling or on the brink, what are some things that you do to help people? How are you helping people get through that? How can people reach out to you, to maybe work with you through some of those things? It's so important, it really is.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
No, it doesn't. You can be recovered, and I consider myself fully recovered, but you always are aware, and you choose it all the time, and it just becomes so much easier as you continue through, and that's the beautiful thing. But you're right, 2020, very hard. That was, as soon as the world shut down, that is when my business took off, because people realized they needed help, or they fell into patterns at home, and I feel for the people, I feel for everybody that has been stuck at home, because it is, your world becomes so small, and if you're struggling with it, it's challenging. But I think the most important thing you can do for yourself is to be open with someone about it, and that's the hardest thing of all. Admitting that there's a problem, and telling somebody that you trust, and then working together on a plan to get you the help that you need. It is not something that you can or should have to tackle by yourself, because it is just so exhausting, and it truly feels like you're a prisoner of your own mind, and it's a lot easier to work through it and to start putting steps in place to be able to work on recovery, whether it's speaking with a therapist or a doctor, entering a program, if you have a support system and somebody by your side. And I know there's a lot of shame around it, so admitting it is sometimes the hardest thing, but you also feel a little bit of a sense of release and relief, because it's out there, and it's almost a way for you feel like you're losing control, but you're actually giving your eating disorder a little less control when it's not a secret anymore, and you'll feel a little bit lighter. And it's scary, but I think admitting that you need some help and confiding in someone close, so that you can then put some steps in place to to get the proper resources and proper treatment. Yeah.
And in the fitness industry, do you think we do enough to talk more authentically, about disorders, over-exercising, all the things? I think some people do a better job than others, and it doesn't always have to be a topic, but, and it's someone in a position like yours that has a big reach and a big impact, do you think people are doing enough? What could we be doing better to talk about it? And, you see some of these people all over the country, and it's fine, doing 4 classes a day, posting about it, showing, oh, this is what I eat in a day, and you're like, oh boy, I know, diet culture, summer bod, you bam, let's get through all the things. So what do you think, is a responsibility for someone that has platforms, like you and beyond, to show up authentically and just have better conversations around this, because people are so easily triggered.
We have a very big responsibility.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line because, you know, people in fitness love working out and it's fun, and like we obviously love movement. Obviously, I had a problem with exercise in the past. I have since healed myself from that problem. Exercise is still a part of my life, and that's not necessarily everybody's story. It can still kind of linger for a while. And I think just as an instructor in the space, or anybody in the health and fitness space, you have to be aware that there are people that are going to be in your community and your clients that are struggling, and they maybe haven't admitted it yet, or maybe they don't know where to go for help, but they idolize you, and they're listening to every word that you're saying. And whereas you might have like a healthy relationship with exercise and might not be thinking from like an eating disordered mind, you know, vocabulary and like thinking about the triggers, you need to be aware they're like talking about getting abs or you know, saying you want to like earn your food or like anything like that can be so damaging to somebody out there who literally is feeling like they need to earn their food, feeling like they are not worthy unless they have six-pack abs, feeling like they are not worthy unless they take X number of classes a day or burn X number of calories. So I think as fitness professionals, like that language needs to stop. And I have like, I'm kind of like, that's it. Like we can't be saying these things anymore because it's so damaging for somebody out there that could be struggling with it, right? Like let's encourage like moving our bodies because we want to get stronger, and because we feel empowered, and because it makes us feel good, and because it makes us feel proud. And let's like take away the numbers and take away the, you know, deserving X, Y, and Z because you did this.
Right,
and
like I'm gonna burn it off.
Like let's talk about how like lucky we are that we even get to move. And I want the conversation to go in that direction, and I know that it'll take time, but I do have hope that it is starting to get there in a different way.
Right? Yeah, I'm definitely transitioning, and you talk about this too, and people like giving themselves grace to like rest.
Yes.
And no, it's like if you miss a workout or you eat something, you know, maybe you're like, oh, feeling bad, like not letting it ruin your day, and like being in that mindset. So, you know, when talking about like someone maybe sitting with like a negative mindset or overwhelmed, like, or someone wanting to put in better habits into their lives, you know, what are some healthy habits, you know, that really have worked for you, you know, that you've established?
Yes. One that is a little bit funky, but it's been really helpful for me, and I think it'll be helpful for people who are maybe struggling to know is my relationship with exercise healthy and food, is it not, is I kind of break everything down into love and fear. And I ask myself that in any decision really in life, like, am I making this decision out of love, or am I making this decision out of fear? And that helped me get through a lot of like those choices where with exercise, was I choosing to move my body that day because I was afraid something bad was going to happen if I didn't? Or was I choosing to move my body that day because I love it and I'm like feeling really energized, and I've nourished
cute
it.
outfit.
Yeah, and like I've eaten like a really great breakfast, and I have energy, and like now I'm ready to like crush it on the spin bike and like, you know, get stronger, like, or is that my reason? And I've used that with all other decisions in my life. You know, if I'm having a bad day, a tough day at work, or if I'm like stressed out about a project, or if I'm like stressed out about family, or like what I'm gonna do, I'm like, all right, like before I just like jump into doing something, is this decision coming out of love or is it coming out of fear? And I kind of like pause and I try to think a little bit more about it. Other healthy habits. I feel like I've actually started doing this more recently, getting up a little bit earlier in the morning, and instead of like jumping right into my day and like, you know, grabbing my coffee,
picking the phone up, like answering all the things.
I give myself a little bit of time to like sit at my computer, which I know it's like still like computer work, but I give myself a little bit of time to like sit, enjoy a little bit of coffee, have the news on, and like leisurely like answer a few emails if I feel like it, like plan out my like schedule for the day, and then I'll worry about like where I have to go. Not that I'm somebody that like sleeps in late, I'm kind of like an early riser, but giving myself like permission to like be a little bit more relaxed in the morning is a really new healthy habit for me, because as soon as I wake up, I'm usually the kind of person that's like, all right, we gotta get right into it.
Oh, God
so
bless
it's about
you.
like, I'm still like doing something, but I'm like letting it happen leisurely, and that's like a healthier habit that I've created for myself.
I think we need those times in the moment. I mean, I always get so envious of all the instructors, you know, the early risers. Anyone that seriously knows me watching this knows, like, do not talk to me until I've had at least like 1 cup of coffee. Like if I get up for you, and I love showing up for your Saturday morning 8 a.m.s, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Okay. But no, I love having those moments for yourself. Like take the moments for yourself before the day gets away from you and it gets crazy, and we've all feel like we've been shot out of a cannon, you know, in 2020 of like going like full speed ahead, like just doing all of it, trying to be productive, trying to kind of get back on track. Those are some great tips. And I think, you know, with that being said, shifting, and then, you know, we'll kind of close up here, but the comparison game, you know, for somebody that's maybe sitting as we're transitioning into 2021, things are opening, you know, there's people still getting married, having babies, like doing all the things, like maybe crushing their fitness goals, getting that new job. And then some people are still like really like, why is it not happening for me? Like I'm trying to get a new job, I'm trying to get a new career, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to do this, and I see all my friends online or my family or whatever. You know, it's hard to not be on social media and play that comparison game. So what would you tell them, you know, when you have somebody that's like, well, Ashley, I'm doing all the things and it's not working and I see everyone else around me, you know, what would you tell somebody? And then, you know, do you feel like sometimes you are affected, you know, by that too, kind of being around so many people that do have all the goals and doing everything as well? Yeah,
totally. Comparison it's human nature, and it's something you have to actively like choose to avoid, right? Or to ignore or to shift. It's all about mindset. And I think one fun little tip that's very easy that any of us can do is we all are scrolling through social media all the time. If you're scrolling through and there are accounts or people or things that are making you feel bad about yourself, unfollow. Like why would you put that in your face constantly, and start incorporating some really like positive profiles on there. I follow so many profiles about like normalizing normal bodies and, you know, body confidence and like real, like raw, like Instagram.
Right, you look at people like, that's me. Like,
and when you start like flooding your feed with that sort of a thing, if that's your thing or whatever it is that you're working through, you know, flood your feed with whatever you're like, whatever makes you feel good. That's gonna be what you see. Right? And if you see that, that's what you're gonna be thinking about. And if you're thinking about that, you're not gonna be comparing yourself as much. And I do know that it's still hard comparing yourself to people like in your life, but I think it's so important to remember that we are all on a different journey, right? And I never thought that I would be where I am today. And part of me is always like, oh, like if only I could have done this 10 years ago or 7 years ago, if only. But I'm here now because of all the things that happened that didn't work out for me.
Right.
And I learned lessons from them. So every single time something happens that maybe isn't the way you want it to go, and I'm speaking from just what has worked for me, but I think of those as lessons and a perspective shift. You know, when you have a hard moment in life, when you don't get the job, when something bad happens, when you lose a family member, when you have the breakup, take those challenging moments and don't let them tear you down. It's okay to sit in those uncomfortable feelings. I'm definitely not trying to say that you have to be positive all the time. Believe me, I have
feel the feels.
Feel the feels. But use it as, you know, an understanding of okay, like this thing happened to me and I feel this way. How do I want to feel, and what can I do now to like get there? Like how can I start? What is it that I really care about? What's going to make me happy? And what's one small step I can take to get me in that direction? You don't have to go 0 to 60. It's just taking that first step. It's just taking that one step to focus on you.
Just start.
To start. And unfollow the toxic social media accounts.
Right, and unfollow people that don't make you feel good. And I say this all the time too in my coaching and, you know, programs that I have. And sometimes the universe, and not to get woo-woo, although I love woo-woo, so give me the crystals and the universe and the sage or whatever. But the universe rejection sometimes can be your protection. Like if something isn't meant to happen, you know, there's a reason why. Honestly, I truly believe, and that's a huge like core strength of mine, is that spirituality, of that there is like this kind of higher power for wherever you believe in that really is protecting you, has your back.
Yes, I believe
you know,
it too.
and following the signs and for all the good, bad, and otherwise. And I know you've been through so much. You just got to keep believing in yourself and move forward and surround yourself with those high vibe people and lose the ones that don't make you feel good and stop watching them also. Yes.
Yes.
You're like, do not watch them.
And be nice to yourself.
And be nice to yourself, say nice things. I mean, I know you always call that out in class, and I'll find myself like on the bike, like thinking about work or like something not working out, and you'll say something, you're like, this is for you, this is your time, and I'm like, it is my time, you know, and just like taking it back, everybody. So what's next for Ashley? Like, what do you have in store for the rest of this year? As I'm throwing papers at you. You know, what's next for Bespoke? You know, what's a little glimpse of like, gosh, we're almost in the second half of this year.
I know,
it's really
wild.
scary.
It's
so
crazy.
what's next?
So obviously Bespoke, summertime at Bespoke is always so much fun because we have our outdoor fitness happening, so keep an eye on all of that. Cape House Big Top launch. We're outside there, all of our fun like outdoor activities in the city too. So that's like number one, which is going to be so much fun. So I'm excited about that. But I'm also, you know, really like focusing on growing my my own, you know, coaching business. And I do work one-on-one with clients right now. But what I am so passionate about and what I feel like we really need is like that community connection of other people who have been through the same thing, who are struggling through an eating disorder in their recovery process from it, you know, want to start to appreciate their body better, want to build body confidence, body love, all that good stuff. And I will say, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian. Scope of practice is very important to me. So I do, when I do work with clients, there's a very specific space in your recovery that I want you to be in before we have the opportunity to work together in a productive way. So I have a lot of conversations about that. But that being said, like a community, I have a community program that's coming together that I think will be really exciting. Women empowerment, like girl power.
I
like
love that.
Loving your body, loving yourself. You know, it's all about like feeling, you know, understanding how worthy you are, like as you are. And so I don't want to get like too much into it, but like, just know that it's coming. And and I'm excited for that. But I do really love working with clients one-on-one as well. And it's extremely fulfilling. And that's what I'm also doing right now too. So that and some big like fun community things.
Always like open up Pandora's box, people, but stay tuned. And then I mean, again, kind of building that community with all you're doing with your health coaching and whatnot. Community is just so important. I think people showing up and being able to say, wow, that person's going through the same thing, and knowing that we're not alone. We're not alone. And as Ashley was saying, you know, if you are struggling, you know, with various topics, and you've been through a lot of grief things as well. Hey, universe, you know, just talk to somebody, like put it out there. You know, don't go at it alone.
You're
all beautiful souls, like tuning in, and I love you, and we love you so much here. And I guess in parting, you know, what was one of your biggest takeaways from last year? Like, what was a big learning for you?
From last year, I think. How do I pick just one?
I know.
First of all, I think
montage of like, this is like what I've learned, and I'm moving forward and made me.
I think just kind of going off of what you said, not being afraid to own your story, and not being afraid to admit when you're struggling, and to feel ashamed by it, because we're human, and like you said, there's somebody else going through it too. And I think for me, for the longest time, I felt like I wanted to hide my eating disorder. I went to like a new school. I was like, I want a new identity, a new life. I don't want anybody to know about my past. And what I failed to recognize until later was that my past is the reason why I am the person I am today. So when you are struggling with something, not only might you be helping someone else by being open about it, but you're also owning a part of you. And that's only going to make you feel more confident as you step into like the next phase of your life, because your story, no matter how scary or twisty or turny it is, like it's you, and like what's more beautiful than that? So own your shit. Am I allowed to swear? Like I say in class, own it.
Own it, and that vulnerability is something that it just really connects you, honestly, with people, and makes you seem human, you know, for all these superhuman people we see, especially in the fitness space. You know, some people, they're like idols, you know, and maybe they're scared to come up and say hi to Ashley or anyone.
You don't have to be scared.
Don't be scared.
I love friends. I love new friends.
But it's intimidating, right? So that's, definitely owning our story, sharing our story, being vocal, using our platforms in the right way. Like, let's just keep talking about things that are not summer bodies and diet cultures. And I so appreciate the moment that I think we're having now of like building this
Me
business
too.
and this fitness industry, and in the way that we look at ourselves and the way that we feel, of just like being who we are in our bodies and are appreciating all the beautiful things we can do with them.
Yep.
So thank you for being here with me.
Oh my gosh, thank
and please,
you.
like, anyone in the area, Bespoke has on demand.
Yes.
You know, we'll link all the ways to stay in touch, but highly recommend coming to any of the Bespoke classes, Warehouse, Wellesley, Cape, you know, on-demand platforms. Take Ashley's class. Take everyone's class.
Take everyone's classes. They're
And
so fun.
Be kind to yourself. Any parting words? Like any last words?
Oh my gosh, just you're beautiful. You are beautiful. I hope you know that. So stand up a little taller. I always say like Beyonce, you know, I'm like, what Beyonce do? Like hair flip and like, you know, give yourself a little like look in the mirror and just love what you got, baby. Love what you got.
You got this. Right. What's up, Gaga? We were born this way.
Yeah.
I won't
all the pop stars.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.